hope you've had a great week. I'm going to start off this video with a few apologies first. So first apology is sorry for the angle that you're in and that it's a bit like, just a bit odd. But I realised I don't have anywhere to film at the minute because obviously I'm back home for Easter. I'm not in York at the minute, so it's a bit of an odd angle. I'm sitting on my bed. Well, I'm sitting on the spare bed. And the other apology is I'm sorry if it's so noisy because where I'm sitting is in our spare room, which is at the front of the house, which has a main road going past it. But this room is literally the only suitable room where I can film. So I'm sorry if it's noisy with the cars going past. If a bus goes past, you're not going to be able to hear me. I'll try and cut it out and realise to stop talking if it happens. But yeah, I'm really sorry for the weird angle and stuff. I'm also sorry for how differently coloured my face is to my body. I tried to pick the thing that covered up the most, but my neck's still white. I only have one foundation at the minute and it's my tan foundation, and I'm not tanned at the minute because the shower's broken again. So starting off with a whole lot of apologies. So going in the video as well, there's a bit of an apology in terms of, I don't know how I'm going to title this video currently. So when I finally made a decision, I'm sorry if this title seems really clickbaity and really like making me sound as if I'm like a psychologist or anything like that. I don't mean it to be. I just didn't know what to call it, so I probably went with what I thought was the best option so that people understood what the video was about. So this video, I'm going to go through basically tips that helped me and that helped me get into training whilst I was going through my depression and my low mood and anxiety and all that kind of thing. But I want to start off with like a full disclaimer. So I am by no means qualified to diagnose or treat depression at all. Like, I'm not. And if you came on this video thinking that you have depression, you need to go see someone about it. Like, watching this video and starting the gym isn't going to help cure how you're feeling right now. You need to go to the doctor and get some counselling or anything. But this isn't here. I'm saying I am not qualified to diagnose or cure or treat depression at all. And that's not what I'm here to say. All I'm here doing is giving tips that helps me when I had it, and tips that there's helped like other people that I know with it get into training. But this isn't by any means meant to treat it or anything like that. I'm not here for that. I'm just here to convey things that have helped me and that I know have helped other people help you. So if you think you got depression, go to the doctors. If you know you got depression, keep going with your counselling and all that kind of stuff. Baby, smashing it. Just keep going. I know it's so fucking hard, but you can do it. Just know it, as cringy as it sounds, it gets better. If you do have it, these are just little tips that helped me. If you want to get into training at all, or if you're struggling with getting into training whilst you're going through this awful phase in your life. But yeah, full disclosure, don't ask me for help or anything in terms of actual depression. I'm just here to give you tips to help get into training with a bit of a low mood and things that like are associated with low mood. I hope that made sense. So again, these are things that have helped me. So the first one I'd probably say is try not to pressure yourself into giving yourself a goal straight away. I mean, you might be at the point where you feel like you can have a goal and that's going to motivate you, but for me, I'd probably say if you're just starting out, don't give yourself a goal, because it could lead to just, if you ever have like, it's really hard to get into a routine and stuff when you're feeling like that. So I find that to get to a goal, you do have to be consistent and stuff, and there are going to be some times that you don't feel like you can be consistent and stuff like that. So try and not give yourself a goal. Try and use it as like a bit of an escape or a new thing you're trying, or something that's going to give you enjoyment, rather than you're there to meet a certain goal. Just try not to do that at the beginning. Tip number 2 is don't try and set an amount of days that you're going to go in a week. So obviously, like at the minute, I know well, it's changing now because I'm here, but when I'm in York, I go to the gym 4 times a week at least. And that, when I was going through depression, wasn't the best thing for me, because if I didn't make it to the gym 4 times a week, if I'd set 4 times a week, I would feel like shit. I would not be happy with myself. So try and not make it sound like you're gonna do this certain amount of times. Just be like, right, I'm gonna go when I can go. I'm gonna, you know, see how I'm feeling. If I feel like I can go, I'm gonna go. If I don't go, it means if you decide you're not gonna go, having those that be like, oh well, I only went like once this week, it's not going to disappoint you, because you haven't set yourself that thing of, right, I've got to go this many times a week. But maybe if you feel like you want to try and set a few, if you want to set something, maybe set like a minimum amount of days you're going to go, weeks. But that could not even be a week, it could be over the month, or it could be bi-weekly. So you could say that you're going to go like once every 2 weeks at a minimum, if you want to try and get into a bit of a structure. But don't say, right, I'm going to go this many times this week. Try and just set like, okay, I'll try and go this many times over this amount of time, and see if that helps a little bit. So my third tip would be, if you can, find someone to train with who completely understands what you're going through. So this doesn't have to be a friend, because I know that sometimes a lot of people say, oh, we'll train with a friend, and if you don't have a friend to go with, it can feel a bit crap. So it could be a trainer, it could be anyone, but try and make sure that they completely understand what you're going through. So if it is a friend, make sure that they know what's happening in your life, and make sure they understand that if you need to cancel last minute, you can, or some days you're not going to feel up to it, and that they'll know that. And with a trainer, make sure they know what's going on and what needs you have, so they can adapt your training around you. But just be careful, if you do get a trainer, remember that they're not there to be your therapist. They're there to help with your training, because it can be quite easy when you're seeing someone, if you don't already have a therapist, if you're seeing a personal trainer or a coach like twice every week, or however many times you're gonna go, it can be really easy to use that time as like venting to them and all that kind of stuff. But they're not there for that, babe. Like you need to hire somebody who's professionally trained to help you with your mental health. We are not trained to help you with your mental health, which is why I wanted to do my psychology degree, because I want to be able to do that actually. But if you are going to get a trainer, make sure that they understand what's going on, so they can adapt your training around that. And if you need to cancel, that they understand why you need to cancel, and they're not going to be a bitch about it, if that makes sense. Tip number 4, find a killer playlist. Like, find a playlist that as soon as you put it on, you're like, yeah, bitch, I'm gonna train. Like, it could be anything for you. Like for me, music that makes me feel like that's probably either like dubstep, or it depends on mood I'm in. It can literally be dubstep, heavy metal, rap, it can be anything. But if you listen to like country folk rap, if you listen to like country folk music and that's what gets you going, you get that playlist made of country folk music, or anything that just makes you happy. Like anything that makes you happy. Do not include any music that like reminds you of certain stuff, like reminds you of being at work. Like if you work in retail, I know when I was working in retail there were certain songs that was played over and over and over again in the shop, and whenever I heard them I was just like, work. Trying not to include shit like that. You know, have the playlist there that makes you feel good, and you know it can get you like into that mood. Don't just have stuff where you're like, if I'm in the mood I'll be alright. I mean, you can put that in there, but try and find an amazing playlist. Spotify's got loads of like browse stuff where you can find stuff, and if you need some suggestions, you can ask me. But I'm not gonna lie, my playlist's like got like 40 songs in, and they're kind of the only ones I listen to, so I'm probably not the best to talk to, but you'll have some people in your life that you know that are good with music. But yeah, find a killer playlist. Next one, dress in literally anything you find comfortable. I remember when I started going, I thought I had to dress a certain way, and I remember the first time I started going, I was going to a ladies only gym that literally consisted of 4 rows of cardio machines, and that was it. And this was when I was going through all my stuff, and the only thing that I had to wear, I been like, my mum had gave it to me, and when she gave me it, the one that she gave me this top, right, and I'm not gonna lie, it pushed my boobs up to my chin, but it kind of made me feel confident, and that's what worked for me. And it kind of helped me a little bit in terms of like, that's what I felt comfortable wearing, because it made me look better than what I felt like I looked like. But if you feel better going in a massive baggy jumper and massive joggers, do that. And when I say going in, I mean training at all. Whatever you feel comfortable with is what you should be training in. Obviously, if you're training naked, probably keep that to when you're at home, not if you're going into a gym. But if you're training at home and you feel comfortable training naked, train naked, you're fine. But if you're struggling with self-esteem a little bit, maybe baggy clothes might be really good, because then nobody can really, like, I mean, this is what I'm doing right now. And it might make you just feel a bit more comfortable. So yeah, train in the clothes that you feel comfortable in. Next one that I'd probably say was really important for me was to try training at home first. Before you like decide to go into a gym or decide to exercise publicly. Try and do it at home to begin with. Like, you can do some really good home workouts, like the one in my last video. But there's loads of stuff all over Instagram, there's loads of stuff all over YouTube. Like, maybe just try that. That really helped me, because it let you like practice the exercises before you were doing them out in front of people. And it also a good thing for this is that you can track easier when your energy levels are going to be good for like exercising. Because I remember that I used to feel really good to training at home, like on an evening, and that's kind of probably when I should have trained, and that helped me transfer that to the gym, because it made me like track when I was feeling up to it. Because I know if I tried to train in the morning, it just wasn't going to happen. I couldn't get out of bed. So try and train at home so you feel comfy, and then you can track how you're feeling, and then if you feel like you can go into a gym, then you know what it's going to be like actually exercising before you're in a gym. The next tip is actually about the gym. So with training in a gym, my tip is to, before you even join a gym, go visit plenty of them to see if you like them and how you're going to feel in them, because different gyms have different feels. I mean, you've got loads of different types. You've got like the pure gyms kind of thing, which are the kind of like corporate, is that the right word? Commercial, which are the commercial gyms. Then you've got like your all your old like individually owned gyms, which are a bit more like personal, that like people have more of a community in them. Or you've got your old bodybuilder style training gyms with the old kit, and it's just trying to find whatever you feel comfortable in. Because I know when I first started, I went from training at home to then training in an individually owned one that had the ladies only area, and then I went from that to a bodybuilder style gym, and I felt fine with that. But I went the bodybuilder style gym with somebody else who trained there for years, so that was what worked for me. But I think if I'd went to the bodybuilder style gym to look around first, I would have just been like, oh my god, no, I can't do this, I can't do it. But you might feel like that about community ones, because then you feel like the pressure that people know when you're coming in and stuff. So just go and visit quite a few to see what you are going to find comfortable. Yeah. Tip number, I want to say 6, hopefully it's 6. Tip number 6 is that to build up to the kind of training that you want to do, just so that your brain's not going to be a bit like, what the fuck is going on? If you start like, if you want to do like CrossFit and you start going into CrossFit straight away, your brain might be a little bit like, oh my god, what's happening? And it might just be a bit too much for you. I know I wanted to do weight training, but I did cardio for a long time before I did weights, because it just eased me into it and it made me feel more comfortable and less pressure first. So maybe just try and build up to that type of training. So what I mean is kind of like, if you want to do, I don't know, I'm gonna take CrossFit because that's what I mentioned before. So if you don't know what CrossFit is, it kind of like combines a load of different things. But say if you want to do CrossFit, you could start with like going in, like I said, train at home, then going in, just getting used to the gym, and then you could try just doing your own little bit by yourself, like maybe like doing your own little circuit or your own little EMOM circuit, which is every minute on the minute. I think. I don't do CrossFit, if you can't tell. It's not for me. Build up to it so you don't feel pressure first. That makes sense. Tip number, I'm gonna roll with that with 6, so I'm gonna roll with this as 7. If it's wrong, you'll see it along the little thing if I decide to put any on. Next one is, if it helps, this might not help everyone, but bloody hell helped me, is to plan your session before you go. Like I say, this might not be for everyone, but if it is, it might change your life. So I used to plan what I was gonna do. Well, I didn't, to be honest. This is kind of like a retrospective tip, because I didn't do it, but when I started doing it, Jesus, it made me feel better. But with depression and low mood and that kind of stuff, sometimes what can become difficult is like concentrating and thinking and remembering things. So if I wrote down things beforehand, it meant I didn't have to think about what I was doing in my session. It also gives you a bit of a structure to follow, and that can help you get into like the training structure and get into it regularly, and it can make you see how you feel and whether you think you're going to react to it well. But I reacted to it really well, and planning my sessions beforehand made me feel great. It made me feel as if I was going there with a purpose. It also, when I first started, I overtrained a lot. Not in terms of like I exhausted my body and stuff like that, but I'd literally be in there doing cardio for 3 hours. And I think like writing things down and planning the session beforehand, that stops that as well. It means you don't stay there longer than what you should be doing. So it gives you that structure and allows you to just get used to it and see if the structure is going to work well for you. Tip number 7 is plan naps around your training. Also food. You might feel a little bit tired at this point in your life, and that's fine. If you want to nap after a session, do it. If you want to nap before a session and you feel mint after a nap before your session. Same with food. If you feel like you need food after, well, you're gonna need food after. If you feel like you need to eat before to give you the energy to go, do it. Plan them around your session. Also, maybe like give yourself little rewards for doing things as well. This counts for everyone. Giving yourself rewards for doing something well. I'd personally say probably stay away from food, because it could lead to a bad relationship with food in terms like that's your reward. But doing something that you like, and that's why I said nap, because I mean, I can't nap, but I've been told everyone loves a nap. Reward yourself with a nap, or reward yourself with like, I don't know, 10 minutes on your Xbox, or 10 minutes, who spends 10 minutes on their Xbox? Like half an hour on your Xbox? I don't know, just something that works for you so that you get used to associating it with a good thing, like a reward. But if you feel like you struggle with your energy a little bit, which I did, try napping food around the training sessions and see if that helps you out a bit. My final like general tip, because I'm going to move on to some tips if you have a goal, but my final general tip is to try and build a support network if you can. I know this isn't going to be possible for everyone, but if you have, I can't remember, there was a study, I'm always talking about studies, but there was a study where if you had 3 or more people in a support network around you, you were something like 120% more likely to meet your goal. It was some figure like that. The point still stands. If you've got people around you, you're going to be more likely to keep going with something. Even if you don't have a goal, just keep likely with something. I know that's not possible for everyone, but if you just have a friend who you tell, you like, I'm starting to go at the gym, and they're really supportive of that, that's great. Tell them. If you've got a trainer, there's someone in your support network. Like, just try and, if you can, tell people what you're doing so that they can help you as well. Because I know I wouldn't, when I like was going through this, I didn't have a support network, but I know if I told someone and I had somebody telling me like I was doing a good job, I think it would have helped me a lot. So I'm going to make the tips a little bit more specific to if you have a goal now, because like I said, don't make a goal if you don't feel like you're up for it, but you might be up to it. You might be in that point in your life where you feel like, yeah, I think a goal is going to be really beneficial to me. So yeah, these are going to be if you've feel like you can set a goal in the gym. So tip number one for if you have a goal is to maybe invest in some home workout equipment. I know there was days that I had where I felt like I couldn't leave the house because of how down I was feeling. So if you have some home workout equipment, it means that you don't have to feel the pressure to leave the house, but you can still do your workout. So I literally, I don't want to move you because you basically balanced on like one of these, so I don't want to move you, but you saw me using them in my home workout video if you've watched it. They're the only home equipment I've ever had, and that worked with me. The blue dumbbells that weigh about 2.5 kilos are the ones I've had the longest, and then I got the plated dumbbells, I want to say a year into starting training, and they really helped because you can change up the weight, and like I said, you can use anything around the house and stuff. But if you've got them, it means you don't have to leave the house if you don't feel like it. Number two is, again, if you want to have a goal but you sometimes don't feel like you can leave the house and go to the gym, is to measure your step count. I say this to everyone, this isn't just if you're feeling like you've got low mood as well. Track your step count, because if you feel like you don't have the energy to travel, like you don't have the energy to get into a car, or you don't have the energy to be on public transport, it means that you could literally just go for a walk, and that could help you towards your step goal. Because if you're trying to like lose weight or just be more active in yourself as a person, having a step goal is a good... Laurie went past, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear that, I'll repeat myself. Having a step goal is going to be a good like marker of how active you are throughout the day and stuff like that, and it means you don't have to go to the gym if you're not fancying being around loads of people, or be in the car if you don't feel like being in the car. Tip number three is try and get into a little bit of routine if you can, but if it doesn't work, do not beat yourself up about it. And I know that's easier said than done, but try not to think about it again. I mean, like I said before, try and do like a minimum, but if you feel like a routine's going to help, but a routine, it means you kind of go in automatic. That's what I do when I'm in York. I don't think about routine, it's just, it's in, I know what I'm doing every day, it's on routine. I don't know how many times I said routine there, but yeah, if it doesn't work, don't beat yourself up about it. Focus on the positives. Think about how many times you've actually done that routine and you've actually made it through the day. Like 3 times is great. If you've done it 3 times and on the 4th time you're just a little bit like, I can't face it today, that's fine, completely fine. 3 days is bloody amazing. So just try not to beat yourself up about it. The next two are kind of about like setting the goal itself. I probably should have done this first, but never mind. The first tip for the goal, I would probably say, is to write it down. Doesn't matter if you want to keep it, doesn't matter where it is, you don't have to remember it, but writing it, you do have to remember it, but writing it down means you don't have to remember it consciously. If you forget what it is, you can literally just go on your phone or have a look where you pinned it on the fridge or whatever. It means you don't have to consciously go, that's my goal, this is my goal. It means you can just be like, okay, I can see it, I know what it is. Don't have to consciously remember it because it's always on my phone. Write it down. Next one is try and not make it too specific, and try and make it like an action goal rather than like a physique goal if you can, because just like we've talked about, it can be a bit difficult to like commit to a certain amount of things, and that can, I mean, when you've got like a weight loss goal or a muscle gain goal, you kind of do need a bit of commitment in there. So if you can, try and make your goal action specific. So it could be like the goal is to, I don't know, go to the gym twice a week for 4 weeks. That could be a goal. It could be that you want to just be more active, or you want to make it up 2 flights of stairs at work without feeling like you're going to die, or like that kind of thing, without having it be like, right, okay, well I need to do this every day to lose this amount of weight, or I need to eat this amount to put on this amount of weight. Try and not make it too specific like that, because you don't want to be focused on something too much when some days that it's not going to go your way. That's all the tips I have. And I mean, probably the overall thing that I want to say is like, try and not to use it as like a goal orientated thing, like a challenge. try and make it as your escape or something you enjoy. That's another thing. Try and find something you enjoy. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. It doesn't have to be like doing weights. It could literally be that you enjoy walking, or it could be that you suddenly found that you enjoy tennis or whatever, squash, bowls, whatever. Try and find something that you enjoy and like use it as something you enjoy, rather than like, oh, I have to do this because I have to feel better about myself. Or like, try and make it something that you really want to do, because if you really don't want to do it, you're probably not going to do it. So try and find something that you want to do and use that as a bit of an escape, because that's what I did. And I mean, I ended up doing it as a job, so I really enjoyed it. But that's kind of everything I have to say. This is probably going to be a really long video looking at the top, so I'm going to shut up now. Again, just a disclaimer, if you're feeling like you might have a really low mood or even depression or anything like that, just please don't just watch this video. Be active about it. Go to the doctors or go see a counsellor, or reach out to someone and tell them how you're feeling. Just don't keep it to yourself, and don't think that just watching this video is going to help or anything like that. And I'm not saying these tips are by any means going to help you. They might not, but these are just things that I wrote down that I know helped me, or I wish somebody had told me when I was going through it, to actually help me get into the gym quicker, because it took me a while to find the gym and it really, really helped me. I'm not saying by any means that it cured me, but it really helped. I'm not saying this is gonna cure you at all, but just I hope it helped a little bit. So that's gonna be it for me for this week. I will see you next week if I can think of a video to do, because I never know what to film until last minute. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely week, and if you are feeling like you're going through this awful phase in your life, just, you're amazing and you can get through it. And if you need anyone to talk to, please, I'm always here to talk to you. I'll listen to anyone and I'll talk to anyone, because I ramble shit, which is what I'm doing right now. So that'll be it. I shall see you next week, chickpeas. Bye.